Hey guys, thanks for joining me in today's video. We're going to do a quick review and walkthrough of what might be the ultimate smart lock on the market today. Now this product is just releasing by a company called U-Tec. It's part of their Ultraloq U-Bolt series. This one is the U-Bolt Pro Z-Wave, which does use and connect to a Z-Wave compatible home automation hub like SmartThings, for example. And you'll notice I've got two of them here. The folks at U-Tec actually sent me one to do a full review on and then one to give away. So these are somewhere around a $230 value, I would say. So stay tuned for more information about that later in the video on how to get signed up and enter this free giveaway for this particular Ultraloq. So I've got to go install this thing and then start really working with it. There's a lot of cool app features. This has probably one of the most comprehensive feature sets, at least based on its specs, that I have seen. So I'm very interested to see how this lock functions. Let's jump into it. All right, so I've got the lock installed now. I didn't feel like making you suffer through watching that. It's fairly straightforward, just replacing the old lock. And actually, I was going to install this on my rear back door because I already have a smart lock on my front door. And I did a video on that one. I'll put a link there if you want to watch that. But I will say this lock is so superior in every way that I have moved this to the front door now because there are so many cool features that I actually find convenient every day that I didn't want to waste them by putting on the door that I use the least. So now this is on my front door. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the features that are on this lock. I'll show you what those look like and kind of how the lock functions, what it's like to use the lock. And then we're going to look at what it's like to set up the lock in the app that it comes with. Works on Android and Apple. I'm going to show you the Android version, but they're basically the same. And then we'll do a quick run through of how to pair this to a SmartThings hub. Now, a SmartThings or Z-Wave hub is not strictly required for this lock to function. It does have a standalone mode where it does basically operate with all of its features in standalone mode without a hub connection. But in order to use the lock in any sort of remote control fashion, to access it from outside your home, basically, you need to have the integration with the Smart Hub. So we're going to walk through and take a look at what that pairing looks like. That was the only part of this that I had any little bit of wrestling with, but I did get it to work just fine. So let's jump in and see how this lock actually works in real life. So first, let's take a look at how you unlock this door. There's multiple ways to do it. The first obvious way is just to use, a standard 4 to 8 digit lock code. And then as you can see, it unlocks just fine. Now, one thing you'll notice is when I shut the door, it automatically relocks itself, which I really like. So it relocks itself. I don't have to do anything. You can also use a fingerprint, and you can do 2 fingerprints per user. It makes it very easy and quicker than using the code. So I actually found that I like that more than I thought I would. Now, if this thing goes out of power, for some reason you need a backup key, there actually is a hidden key compartment behind the key panel, and they do send you a couple of physical keys. So you can get into it just like a normal keyed lock as well if you have to. And there's a variety of other ways that you can get into this, like proximity detection of your smartphone, shake your smartphone using the smartphone app. All of these are ways that you can get into this lock. So as soon as you put the batteries in the lock, it activates the Bluetooth connection, and you can see that with a little red LED that pops up. And now it's looking for the U-Tec app on your Android or Apple device. And we'll go ahead and launch that, and you see it automatically picks up the Z-Wave lock there in the list, so we select it. And then it asks us to enter a code, an access code for our admin user. So we'll go ahead and put something in there for the admin user, and then we'll click Next. And it'll write that to the lock, and you'll get some noise from the locks here confirming your setting. Now it's looking for a name, so I'll just click on the front door tag to give it a quick and easy name. Click OK. And then it wants us to make sure our lock is in the locked position. And this is an important step. So I manually put it in lock and click Next. Now it needs to be told which side of the door you've installed this on. So I'll pick the right side there. And now it wants to pair the door sensor. Now I've already got my sensor installed, so I'm going to skip this screen and go to the next one. Now it wants us to confirm that the door is closed and locked. So it is. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm that. And then it calibrates that. Now it needs to calibrate with the door slightly open. So I need to unlock the door, open it just a little bit, and then extend the deadbolt so that it is slightly open. And I'll confirm that, and now the sensor is calibrated. All right, so the last step is to see how we can connect this to a Z-Wave or SmartThings hub. So I'll click the button to connect to a Z-Wave hub now, and it will jump forward and we'll add it to a Z-Wave hub. Now when I click Start the Inclusion, you can see we're getting a blue LED. And that's the prompt to make me switch over to my SmartThings app. I'll click the plus sign to add a new device, and I'll click on Device. And then I'm going to use the QR code, which is on the back of the battery panel. So you pull the battery panel off, scan the QR code, and then it moves on to the next step. So I need to assign a room. So mine's in the hallway. I'll click Next, and then it goes out and communicates with the SmartThings app. So this part can take a few seconds. I would give it a little bit of time. I think it takes upward of 30 seconds or so. And then you can see I had success, and I can rename the lock if I want. And that little prompt on the top there that popped up is my Amazon Alexa actually detected this, since it is actually connected to my SmartThings app. And that's about it. I'll just do a quick test here and cycle the lock by pressing the little button there. And you'll see the lock kind of activate and open, and you get the little animation of the lights from the left to right and then right to left as I relock the door, or actually unlock the door. And yeah, there you go. And then I'll shut the door and it automatically locks, which I super love. All right, now let's take a look at the U-Tec app and how we're going to add a new user and maybe some fingerprints and what other options there are in that particular area. So we'll create a new user. And it's a user type normal in this case, and you'll see what that means in a minute, but I'll just call it user1. And then click Next. And now I get to add a fingerprint. So I'm going to click on Start Adding Fingerprint, and I'll get a little light on the front of the unit telling me that it's ready. And now I can start recording my fingerprint. Now, just like you would do this on a smartphone, you kind of move your finger around in different orientations so it gets a good read. And it'll tell you when it's good or not, and then finally get success. Now I got to add a code for using the keypad. I'll just give it a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll add the code. Now I have the option to allow this user to access the lock with a smart app, and I'm going to say no on this particular user and skip that. And let's take a look at what it's like to add a temporary user. Now this is great for if you have like rental property, like an Airbnb or something like that, or maybe a dog walker or a house cleaner, somebody you want to have time-restricted access. So I'll just call this guest, and I'm going to skip the fingerprint option because I don't want them to use a fingerprint. I'm just going to use a code for this particular temporary user, and we will jump ahead here, and I'm not going to give them phone app access either. Now here on the scheduling page, I can pick which date range I want this particular guest user to have access. And then within that date range, I can specify particular days. So every day that falls, weekday that falls, or weekend within that date range, or just a couple of days if I so choose. And once I pick those days, I can save those and then pick some additional options here. I can actually come down and figure out if I want them to only have access or restrict the number of times that they access the lock. So in this case, I can just say they get 8 accesses to the lock, and then they're done. So within that time frame, you can get a little more granular if you want. So now I've got 3 different users, an admin, a standard user, and a temporary user. Now the lock does keep tabs on who accesses at any given time, so we can go into the logs button here and take a look at the access logs. So they're all time stamped, and you can see which user accessed and how they unlocked the lock, which is kind of cool. Now speaking of access methods, you can unlock the lock from the app just like this, but you do have to be within Bluetooth range in order to do this. You can't do this remotely like you can via the SmartThings app. So that does require a hub. But if you are just using the app, you can do it from here as well. Now let's click on the gear icon and look at some additional settings. You can see we can turn the lock sounds on and off. There's a battery indicator for status there. We can go into the auto lock function here, and we can enable or disable the auto lock function, including the timer on when it will relock itself if you manually unlock it. And that's a pretty handy feature too. I really do like that. Let's jump back out of that screen. There's a few other things here, like we can check for firmware updates or go under advanced, and we can actually delete the lock from the system if we ever wanted to do that. All right, let's jump over to the SmartThings app and take a quick look. I need to go to my hallway, which is where I installed the lock. And you can see here I can just click on it and go see the options, and it'll show me the locked status and also the battery indicator. Let's do a quick automation and show you how we can program a notification if the battery gets low. So I'm going to select a new routine under automations here, add routine, and I'm going to say if, and I'll go into the device status option there of the particular front door lock. If it is the battery that is equal or below, let's say, I don't know, 6%. So I'll type in 6, equal or below, and then say done. So if the battery is equal or below 6%, then I want to notify someone. And I can send a notification to anybody who has access to my system. I'll just put in a quick note here as to what that notification should say. And then we'll save that. And we need to give that automation routine a name. So I'll just give it a quick name, and there we go. Now I've got battery notifications. So what's my final takeaway on this lock? I was extremely impressed with this lock. Not just the quality, but the breadth of features this thing has that I will actually use. Now there's a couple features I probably won't use, like you can shake your phone near the lock to automatically open it if you want to set that up. The proximity detection, so once it picks up the Bluetooth connection on your phone as you're approaching the door, it can be set up to automatically unlock for you. That is probably not something I'm going to use, but I still think it's a nice feature for some people depending on your circumstances. And if you have something like an Airbnb or something like that, or a rental property where you want to temporarily grant access to guest users, it's very easy to do that, and you can even configure it in the app, as you saw, for how long you want their access to be valid. So you can have it automatically expire and you don't have to worry about it. You can go in later and delete it. Now you do have to be within Bluetooth range to have that level of configurability. You can't do that through the SmartThings app. The SmartThings Hub Access really just gives you that remote control capability and the ability to define automations with other smart devices. And also do simple things like being able to get notifications if the battery is low. Those things are very handy. And that's why I do like the SmartThings integration. But if you don't happen to have a Smart Hub, it still will work in standalone mode, and you still get the auto lock feature that I really like. You get the ability to define multiple users on the system. You can do the fingerprints. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to use the fingerprints that much, but that one really surprised me. I really do like using the fingerprint to open the door. It's just that much quicker to get in. And then having it lock when I go out to walk the dogs automatically. The old one, I had to shut the door, wrestle the dogs because they're excited to go on the walk, and I had to type in the code and relock the door. I don't have to do any of that anymore. I can just shut the door and go. It's just super convenient. So having a lot of features is one thing, but having a lot of features that you would actually use is an entirely different thing altogether. So I can highly recommend this lock. And if you happen to go buy one, I'm sure that you will agree that this is an outstanding piece of hardware. I'll put more information on the lock in terms of where to buy it and all that in the description below if you want to go check it out. If you're interested in entering the giveaway, let's talk about that right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to require 4 things from you in order to make you a valid entry in this giveaway. So it's perfectly free to enter, and I'm going to choose a winner from the comments section at random. And basically the requirements are that you must be 18 years old or older, and it must be a US shipping address because I'm not going to ship internationally for this giveaway. You must be a subscriber to the channel. You must click like on the video, and you must leave a comment below describing the feature or features that you most like about this Ultraloq from U-Tec. And you can leave more than one if you want, but they have to still be relevant and describing a feature that you really like about the lock. If you do those 4 things, you will be entered into the giveaway for the lock. And I will choose that person at 9 p.m. on Sunday, December 27th. And I'll post the winning subscriber in the description, in the video description, right where it's easy to see. And I'll probably also post one of those little quick post comments. So if you click the notification bell as you're subscribed, or if you're already subscribed and haven't clicked the notification bell, that would be a way that you can make sure that you see that. Because if you haven't claimed the prize by January 1st, I'm going to pick a new winner. So as much as I'd like to keep this lock, I have to give it away. So I will pick a new winner if I have to. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. Hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. And I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have fun out there.